Greetings, everybody. Welcome along. Soulful House Mafia, Tuesday evening. Yours truly, Andy Ward, in the hot seat. And boy, we got a treat for you tonight. So I want to say shout out to everyone that's with us live. Please share the link. Get all of your friends watching. And if you're coming back to check out the recording, we got to send some love in your direction. Before we bring on tonight's guest, let me give you some details about a very important party that's coming up on Sunday, the 3rd of October. Dance for Stevie, a fundraiser benefit event for Bobby and Steve. Yesterday, Bobby was on BBC London giving some details about the party at the Ministry of Sound. It is our honour to share the details and make sure that as many of you can go and support this as possible. Unfortunately, it does fall on the same weekend as the Vocal Booth Weekender, so there's a few of us who will be in Spain who can't make it over, but you can also still send donations to show your support for a duo who, without a shadow of a doubt, are responsible for much of the Soulful House that you know and love in the UK. We set up these conversations with our live guests and our resident panelists, so to speak. We ask that people come online about 15-20 minutes beforehand to make sure everything is fine, and for some crazy reason everything always goes tits up just before we do go live. So as I click this button now, I can say hi to my guest, Mr. Booker T. How are you, brother? You okay?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
I'm very good. I'm very good, and I can hear you loud and clear. So also now, 3 minutes late, so I can publicly cuss him live on air. Let me see if I can bring over Craig Bartlett as well, who's mashing up the ting. See, he's messing up all my graphics. What's going on, you knobhead?
Right, I'll tell you now what's happened, yeah? So with me is Drama Books. It's so lovely to see you, bro.
Man, I see you years. I like to hear stuff.
Pleasure. So, late entrance, I know, and I'll be brutally honest. I had an electrician come to the house this afternoon to do some bits, yeah? And we've got a clock on the kitchen, on the cooker. So, I'm sat eating my dinner with Ellen thinking, I got loads of time. It's 6:30, lovely. My phone's going off, the dog's barking. I'm thinking, all I want to do is eat my dinner in peace and quiet. I got to prepare myself. I got to look at Booker's discogs and his back catalogue so I can talk enthusiastically about the records. And then Andy messages me, where are you, you knobhead? I'm thinking, what do you mean? Fuck, it's 7 o'clock. So I do apologise because I didn't reset the clock. Better late than never.
Better late than never. Okay, so talking about reset, let me just get these graphics correct, because in the past, people will know I do like to try and make it look as flash as possible, but now we're all on the one screen, and Booker's cut off a little bit, so I need to reset the screen ever so slightly, like that. Now we can't see anybody now. Booker is there.
I can see you and Craig, but I can't see myself.
Yeah, I know. What you need to do is click on the view button in Zoom and change the view, and you should be able to see yourself.
All right.
So reset transform. There you go. Now we're all on properly. So what I can do is I can do that. There we go. So now we're all on. Move that up there. Get rid of the logo. Hello everyone, by the way. Do me a favour, if you're watching, send us a comment. Let us know that you're with us, and we can, if you've got any messages for Booker or for Craig, then we'll be happy to fire them on. Let me open that up a little bit better. So there we go. Can you see us now, Books?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay. So I can hear you nice and loud, Craig. I can hear you loud. And you're clearly not on your own computer because all your background is all filtered out.
I am on my own computer, but I just realised my daughter's name has come up on it.
She's obviously been using your computer.
She's been using my Zoom, hasn't she? That's what's been happening.
On her OnlyFans.
Hey, now. That's a bit cheeky.
Yes, I know. Sorry. I shouldn't judge everyone by my own family standards.
Exactly.
Okay, so let me go across and make sure that we are getting any comments, because they're not showing up here Yeah, loads of people are commenting, and it's not coming up on the Zoom. So Pat Robinson's locked in, Andy Tomo, Neil Davison, Mr. Hogg, Patrick J. Masters. Greetings. We've got some legends with us already. So I will make sure, actually, this is so unorganised, isn't it? But it's the only way to do it, you see.
Well,
When you get left at last minute and everything goes flustered, it's the only way to work. So
challenge is the maker stronger, and
there we go. Well, I don't know so much about that, but we can try. Right, okay. If I bring those comments to there you go. Now I can see everything. Now I can see who's commenting without having to change any more windows, and I can dedicate all of my time to our superstar DJ, Mr. Booker T. His government name. Do you want to share your government name with us, Booker T?
Gary Booker.
Gary Booker. There you go. Facebook name. We're young pups to yourself. I mean, you wouldn't know it to look at you, but you know spring chicken, are you, G?
Is me? No,
Yeah.
I'm not no spring chicken, man. But I try to look after myself still, my brother. You know.
Okay, so I mean, there's so many things. I really don't know where to start with you. So, and there's a little bit of a delay where I got to make sure that I try not to talk over you. So tell us where you believe is an integral part. Tell us where you feel the Booker T story begins and what you think is important to share with us.
Well, all right. On the house scene, right. Well, put it this way: I started off as a reggae DJ first. Yeah, I started off playing reggae, playing soul and R&B and that. You know, back in the days, playing sound system from back in the early 80s, late 70s kind of thing. As a kid growing up, you know. But I'm gonna jump past that and just go into that more or less what I've been doing on the house scene. Yeah. So I started playing house music. The first ever gig I played at, like a big acid house rave, was Energy. That was my first ever gig. I played at the Marchioness dance with Frankie Bones. I think Carl Cox was on there as well. That was my first ever acid house gig, and I missed it.
How did you get that gig?
That was through a friend of a friend. I used to hang out with someone who used to hang out in Kings Road, and a guy named James, and he knew the guys from Sunrise. I knew the guys from Energy and all that. I was really trying to ask them to get me on this. I knew Paul at the time as well. Paul was playing. I was trying to ask Paul to get me on there and all that. And this guy, James, Chewy had the links and all that. It was cool, and it got me on there to play my first gig. And I messed it up as well when I played.
What? When you say you messed it up, in what way?
You got 20,000 people playing. I'm shaking. My hands are shaking like this. My fingers are shaking. And you know when you're playing the track, you meant to take off the track off for the next day. I took the same track off that was playing, man, and the whole crowd just stand up like this and went, I didn't know, I just put the music back on it. It was embarrassing, mate. Embarrassing.
You couldn't style it out. There's no way of styling it out.
And I took the same record off that was playing. What's that, man?
Okay. Shouts out to Jungle as well, locked on. Big up that man. Okay, so we're talking late 80s from that aspect.
88, 89. I played as a dude. I did biology. You know, I played at biology a few times and all that. That was like the first kind of.
Okay, whose computer's emails are going off? Because you're going to have to mute those.
Sorry, that's mine. Sorry, let me turn this off. Sorry. One sec. There we go. Oh, one second. Right. Here we go. Yeah. All
Perfect. Right. Perfect. Thank you. So yeah, 88. So then the next gig that you did, was it like, right, I got to come back with a vengeance. I got to stamp my name on this.
Yeah, that was biology and all that. So I started to do biology, you know, but the main part it started for me was playing for Bobby and Steve. You know, they gave me more or less the first kind of like garage kind of gig, house and garage gig. And that was at Garage at the Raw Club.
Okay.
92 or something like that, 91, 92. That was in a club in, just Tottenham Court Road. There was a club in Tottenham Court Road. I'm trying to remember the name of the club, the place. It was underneath some garages, some big car parks. And all. That's where they originally done the Raw Club first before they went to Coliseum.
Okay.
Started playing there, me and Jeremy Newell.
Okay. Okay, well, Jeremy, we have asked to come onto the show, but he's very ever so shy, as you know, shy and retiring. But another gentleman who's got stories for days. Okay, so and I did say at the beginning, and I say it to everybody when we do this: it's impossible to capture a life story, a career, a journey in these few short moments. So it was great for you to just jump in at the deep end. So that was where you felt that you started to make a name for yourself. Had you began producing at this point?
Yes, I was producing at that time because the second PA I did was at Coliseum for Bobby and Steve. That was my first PA. My first gig was at the Raw Club, and then my first PA was with Stephen Granville.
Okay.
That was Coliseum when they used to do Garage City. That was on. They used to do Fridays and Saturdays up there as well back in the day. You know, so my first PA was there. A track called "Give Me the Love." I did with Stephen Granville. That was like the first PA I ever done there. And then I started hanging out with Bobby and Steve. They kind of brought me in, really. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Did remixes for them. Then I went out and started to try and get my own work from other majors, and that I just went in like a hustler, kind of going to all the majors. Steve Wolf, Gene Branch, Lisa Loud. I went in and just spoke to all of them and said, just give me a chance. Let me do a remix for you. You know, I can do it. You know, if you give me a chance, I can show you what I've done and that. You know. And they gave me chances. Everyone gave me a chance. Ferdy Hunger as well, who's the head of Sony now. You know, he gave me a chance as well. Did some work for Gabriel.
So you put the graft in. You definitely put the graft in, and you mentioned some names of some of their heads of labels and the A&R people. We're going to be talking to some of those as the weeks progress, because they were just as influential as the DJs as well into pushing this scene.
That's right. Definitely. And a lot of the promoters as well, like Craig, you, a lot of us have got history in the UK house scene, and we can't make that history go away. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We've got to kind of put a stamp on it that we was there at the beginning to make it what's happening now for these other DJs to be playing out and all that. You know what I mean? So we are part of history, man. And I don't think we should be out of that at all. Serious, man. Mm-hmm. You know, in the 90s and all that, the first, like, it was me, Phil Asher, Century Elements, KCC, Camacho's in the picture as well. We was like the first kind of UK house producers to grace the front cover of DJ Mag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was 1993. The first cover I've ever done on DJ Mag. You know what I mean? To say like we're the new generation of UK house producers coming up on that scene. You know what I mean? And to me, that was a big thing for me, really a big thing for me.
You know? Look, I got a question. How did because you come from the soul, roots, reggae, funk, all of that, into that UK soulful house scene. How did you get that record signed to Junior Boy's Own? At the time, was it 93? I think you signed that first track.
It was 94, 93,
94. Because they were known for purist house, yeah?
Yeah, progressive house and all that.
But then Ashley Beadle and yourself started. How did that come about with the signing to Junior Boy's Own?
I had a lot of meetings with them. They were cool, because most of the labels were over in West London.
Yeah.
Stop in Slip and Slide. Yes. I was to stop at Junior Boy's Own. I was to stop at Strictly Rhythm. They were more or less in the same area. You know, so pass through Junior Boy's Own, have a chat with them and that.
Kensal Rise around the
area. That's it.
Yeah. Kensal Rise, kind of.
Yeah, that's right. So I used to go over there all the time, and I always used to give them my tunes and demos and all that, and see if they're interested in all that. And they liked two of my tracks.
Yeah.
Even though they're a little bit more progressive than what I was doing. You know what I mean? I would thought my stuff sound. I tried to make my stuff sound American. I was trying to be like American, Booker T American, man. You know. So I think they jumped on me after a lot of people jumped on me. As soon as I had my track out on Strictly, the first label I put a track out on was Azuli Records, Dave Pachoni.
Yeah.
Right, that was the first label I ever worked with. You know what I mean? And big shouts to Dave because he believed in me, you know. And the second label, the first track I did for Azuli got licensed to Big Beat Records in America. Craig Cameron, and that was a big look for me. Tony Humphries played it on Kiss FM in New York. You know, that's my first track that came out, my first house track. So Tony Humphries playing it, and then it's getting licensed to Big Beat in America. That was a big thing for me, and people started to hear my name out there, and that's why I think Junior Boyzone believed in me and licensed my tracks. You know, Slip and Slide as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, and I think because I did a track with Strictly, before I did a track with Junior Boyzone. So when I did that track, Tearing Me Apart with Strictly, everybody was on me then, you know what I mean? It was all over then.
And did that open doors for you to play over in America? Did you get that opportunity?
Yeah. I was going to New York all the time.
Wicked.
Listen, for me, I loved house music so much, so I had to go to America to learn about this music, to soak up the New York vibes. You know, I didn't get a chance to go to Paradise Garage or Studio 54. I weren't that old enough to go there, but I got a chance to go Shelter Records. I got a chance to go to Shelter, the nightclub, go to Sound Factory Bar. I went to Nels. I went to Red Zone. I went to a few clubs. Gladys Pizzero took me to Sound Factory Bar to listen to Louis and Tony Humphries that night. Nicky D. When I first went to because my mum used to live in Queens, so going over there regular and all that. And a good friend of mine called Mickey D used to work at Black Market, knew Jerome Sydenham. You know, Jerome Sydenham runs ID Band Records.
Yeah.
After Kerry, good friends with Kerry Chandler. I got a meeting with him in America. He used to work for Atlantic Records. So had a meeting with him, went to his office and all that. And he said, listen, he's going to take me out, look after me. He brought me to the Shelter, introduced me. This is before, we went there Friday evening, before the night started in the club. So I got to meet Merlin Bob, Timmy Regisford, and Freddie Shannon. That's the first time I met Freddie there.
Yeah.
And they all treated me really cool, man. Treated me really cool. They said, come back, you're down on the guest list, you and your family, come back. And I went back there in the night, and I partied there all night. Couldn't believe it. It was a great night. And I went the Friday and I went the Saturday. The Friday night was a DJ called Merlin Bob, right? This guy is absolute dangerous DJ. Dangerous. I don't know how it comes he's not been booked to play over here. This guy is on the ball, man. And that was the first time I heard Michael Watford holding on.
Wow.
And he was the guy who signed it as well, because he was head of A&R Atlantic Records.
Wow.
You know, so there was a lot of links. I got to link up a lot of people over there through certain people over there who knew people over there.
Would you say that you were quite on the ball with your business head, and I say you put the graft in? Would you say that you represented yourself fairly well, or did you feel that people were not taking advantage of you? Did you feel that you could have probably made better roads?
I think I could have made better roads. I made a lot of mistakes. I can't blame anyone for my mistakes. I made mistakes myself, you know, but I had a lot of good people around me. I had a good team. When I was doing a lot of the work back then, well, when I first started, I was doing everything myself. I was just going to record companies and just trying to get work. Mm-hmm. You know, I was bringing my demos. I didn't wait for no one to say, I just went there and just passed my demo through to every label that I knew that was in West London. I was in West London every day, more or less. You know what I mean? All the record companies, Ireland, you know, Universal, they're all over the west side of London. All the independent labels were over in West London, Kensal Green, most of them. So I just did my homework. I went there, just passed out my demos and all that, let people hear it and said, if you're interested, you can sign something, you can do a deal, you know, or let me do a remix for free.
Mm. Well, it's a way to get a foot in the door.
You were offering remixes for free to start with, to show people what you were capable of doing, yeah?
Yeah. I did 49ers. It's the message for Ireland. I did that for nothing, you know what I mean? But then I got work coming in after that because I proved to them that I can do the work. You know, 30 Hunger as well from Go Beat Records. I did a remix for him. I did a remix. I can't remember the track. So much tracks, man. But I did a remix for him that led me to get a bigger remix to do for him, and it was Gabriel. And that's when I met McKaylee. You know, McKaylee plays for Spain, mm-hmm. Joey Negro and all of them. Well, I was kind of using him back in the day before more or less everybody.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, he's on fire right now. He's been on fire for the last 25 years, of course. But now he's come to the front. Now he's making a name for himself now.
He's an excellent musician, man. He's one of the best out there. He's really a good musician. Mm-hmm. You know, I worked with him. I didn't know I'm not a musician, you know what I mean? I could play a few little bit keys there, but back then I couldn't really play. So he showed me a lot about music, about keys, about getting your music in the right key and all that with the vocals and all that. Because I've heard so much tunes that's not in the right key. You know, he showed me so much, you know, and he's an excellent musician though. I've got so much respect for him.
Mm-hmm.
So as a producer, Book, can I ask you, because I'm a DJ, but I'm a promoter. I find producing a real strain and a struggle. What's your strengths as a producer and a remixer? What do you think you're best at when it comes to producing and remixing tracks? Would you say, what part of the process are you most comfortable with?
You know something, I've been doing this all the time by myself. I usually hire musicians to play for me. I'm not the best keyboardist, so I try and get a good keyboard to come and play it. I'll do all the arrangements myself, the mix down, the drum programming. You know, I more or less do everything myself. But it's a vibe thing. You have to be really, you've got to really be feeling the vibes to go in the studio every day to make music. At one stage, you can get me out of the studio. I slept in the studio for days and all that, just making music. Nowadays, it's different. Sometimes I just get bored. I don't even want to see the computer or see anything like that. But back then, it was a passion. I just loved it. I wouldn't leave the studio. I'd be in the studio, I'd buy a toothbrush, and I'd be in the studio. I did work for majors. I was in the studio for 2-3 days.
Great.
Yeah, I loved it.
What would you say was the breakthrough that got you to that point that created the Booker T sound in the mid-90s? Because Booker T sound, you put a tune on, you put the vinyl on, that's Booker T, right, Craig? Yeah, immediately.
100%.
So at what point did you realise that there had to be like 2-3 tunes and you're like, hold on a minute, I got my sound now. I got my sound.
I think when I was working in Tower Bridge, I had a studio in Tower Bridge, so I moved from there and I started working in this other building in the Beauville Road, where I was using this keyboard, this called Ricardo, and that's where I think everything started to really take shape for me, because this guy's an excellent musician, you know, and I've got my style. I know what I like. I hum it to him and tell him, and he'll just play it back. And I think that it's like, I tell you what, like, things started to really take off for me when I did Pleasure Dome and All Saints. That's when everything really started taking off for me. And the good thing is I had a good manager then. I had a guy named Tim Blacksmith.
Mm-hmm.
You must
Mm-hmm.
work for Danny D. Yeah. He was managing me at the time, you know what I mean? All those remixes like Business Party, All Saints Never Ever, Pleasure Dome. He got those remixes for me. He really hooked me up with a lot of Misha Paris and all that came through him. Even though I did other stuff that I got for myself and all that, but he kind of really got me linked up with a few people.
That was 96.
95, 96, those times.
Yeah. I mean,
these remixes didn't come out for months. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So they were there waiting to come out. The All Saints track, we were speaking about that for a long time before I did the remix, and we had to get the girls back in to re-sing the vocals and all that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I couldn't use those vocals because the track was too slow.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to get her back in. We had to get all of them in to re-sing the vocals again.
Wicked. And all this time was your going out and DJing a lot more, or were you focusing mainly on the production?
I was DJing a lot then. That time I was doing a lot of DJing. I was doing a lot for Garage City. I was playing for Daily G. I was playing for you at those times as well. I was playing for more or less everybody. Played for America. Played for Lee Wright up in Back to Basics. You know what I mean? I was doing so much places then. You know what I mean? I was going up to Cardiff. I was all over the place. 95, between 93, 94, 95, 96, I was...
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, because as you know, we've been doing these shows for quite a few weeks, a few months now, and we focus on the guys, and we would, and I'm sure Craig would agree, we would put you levels way above us guys. You know, you're up there with the superstars of the UK, and yet you're still one of the lads. You know, we talk a lot of an infamous trip that we went over to Miami. I remember being in Miami with you on a few occasions. Were you going to Miami earlier with Bobby and Steve in the mid-90s?
Yeah, I went. They were the ones who brought me over there. I went over there with them from they first started to go to Miami and that, you know. So originally it was in New York. I didn't go to the New York seminars. I went to Miami seminars. So the first one, Bobby and Steve went, I went with them to just check it out and all that, you know. I was kind of moving with Garage City Crew really hard then.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were the first that I went over there with.
Well, I got a smile on my face. I'm thinking, I'm sure you remember the one time you and we went with Garage City when they were at Es Paradis, and we played in Ibiza, and you lost your case, and you were like, you had to walk around San Antonio in like your white jeans and you dress up your slippy slidey wedding shoes and a pair of white jeans.
Yeah. That was terrible, man. You know something, that I remember that was mad. I had to stay at Rob's place as well for a little while. Rob IB for Wallace.
Rob the man. Shouts out to Cy Gracia as well, that's with us. Anyone that's watching live, feel free to send a shout, a comment, and we'll say hi to you. So the glory days, and then you forged your sound, and as I say, I used to take great pride in having a lot of the records as a test pressing or an acetate that I'd share on my radio show on a Friday night, weeks, months ahead of people. And that Booker T sound, it was golden. Everything you touched was just like an absolute smash. And that went on for many, many years. We had the conversation off air, you never really jumped with both feet into the UK garage, the two-step side of things, did you? You didn't venture too much down that road.
I wasn't really a two-step person, you know what I mean? I was more four to the floor house and all that. You know, even though a lot of the UK garage scene, they loved my stuff and embraced it, and the young kids and all that, that wasn't really in my heart, a two-step. I didn't really class it as UK garage. I more classed it as a two-step thing. You know what I mean? I thought like four to the floor is more the garage house kind of vibe. And that's what I was comfortable more making.
Mm-hmm.
Two-step. I wasn't comfortable making two-step. I made one two-step track, and that was a track called Beautiful. In a bloody hell, I've got a bad memory, man. Innocent, DJ Innocent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the only like UK garage two-step track I did, that which got signed to Chrysalis Echo Records.
Okay. So from you recently posted a discography. I'm sure there's a lot of gaps in there, right? Or is that like the Bible of all of the tracks that you played?
That's just what I did in the 90s. That was just from the 90s, from 1990 maybe up to 2000. That's just the 90s. There's a lot of stuff that I've done after that. Loads and loads.
Did you ever, I can't remember, you never created your own label and started pressing up your own vinyl, did you?
I ever created my own label till about a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I should have started a label from a long time, you know, but, you know, it was so much things happening in my life at the time, you know what I mean? I just had my mum passed away, my dad's not well, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of things I've got to do, look after my parents, because only me one there as well, you know what I mean? So there was a lot of things, and there was other issues as well with other people. So I didn't really get a chance to start my label. And I don't think I wasn't comfortable starting a label then. I didn't really know the ins and outs. I was more comfortable making music, really. Making music and DJing, that was me. You know, I'll be in the studio, banging out a tune. I might have to bring my suitcase to the studio because the next day I'm on a flight.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've done it before, like I've done it a few times. Played at 4 gigs, right, on a Saturday night, and I've got to catch my flight in the morning and in the studio, go back to the studio, finish off a mix, catch a flight, catch a plane, catch a cab to the airport and jump on a flight straight to Miami. And I fell asleep all the way through. 10-hour flight, slept all the way through.
The glory of the traveling. Again, sitting here talking to you, my mind flicks back to an interview we did, sat on the beach in Ayia Napa in 2000. We were out in Ayia Napa together the one year. It was pretty mental.
I've got bad memory.
Trust me, I'll send you a recording. So Craig, actually, before I come to you, Craig, hi to Mafia, saying shout out from sunny South Wales, and hi to Errol Jones up there in the Steel City, I believe. Craig, anything else you wanted to speak to Booker about?
Funnily enough, talking about Es Paradis, a memory has just popped up now. I don't know if Booker remembers this either. It was me, him and Spoonie playing for Garage City in Es Paradis.
I think I remember that, you know, yeah.
And I was playing, you came on after me, and then over the microphone, Spoonie shouts, "Can Craig Bartlett come to the DJ booth?" And I'm thinking, what the fuck? I'm supposed to be playing, but my wife, Helen, who says hello, by the way, Books.
Hi, Helen.
She was being carried out of the club by a very, very good friend of ours, Pablo P. Santos.
Yeah.
Hello, Pabs from Cardiff. And Fat Phil Cooper, who's still a resident in Ibiza, playing in Hostel del Toro and all of that, because they were having a Long Island iced tea cocktail drinking competition in Es Paradis, whilst we're all trying to entertain the crowd.
This isn't the first story you told about Helen getting worse for wear. You're
there's
painting a bad picture.
There's a theme. No, I want to ask Books. Obviously, loads and loads. The enthusiasm that you've got with making music, it shines through in the music that you've made, because you've made so many records, produced so many things, and remixed things. We've had lots of conversations, myself and Andy, with a number of people about how that enthusiasm wanes over time. Andy's been quite vocal about not wanting to travel and DJ because the actual thought of it sends shivers up his spine, kind of thing. Has there been a time, or has there been times where you've just thought, fuck, I can't do it anymore? I'm just, you know what I mean? Because a lot of us get to a stage, and as Andy says, you were probably 40 or 50 levels above even myself and Andy because of the amount of stuff that you were producing. Did they get a time when the doors started to shut and you started to think, what's next?
I think I just got bored at one stage. You know, I was doing something, and I burnt myself out on one stage. I was ill. I got pneumonia as well for keep on staying in studios and flying and all that. It made me ill. It really made me ill because I was constant. You got to remember something. I had my own studio at the time. Right, when I started doing the big remixes, I was working in the major studios. I worked in more or less all the major studios in London. Like, I've worked at all the Matrixes. I've worked at Psalm West. I've worked at Psalm East. I've worked at Metropolis. You know, I've worked at all the big Red Bus studios. I've worked at all of them. I had a good engineers who worked with me, but it's a lot of work, especially mixes in all the time. And I was constantly in the studio like 4 or 5 days a week. Then the weekend, I've got to play out.
Yeah.
And at the time, 97, 96, 97, my son was born as well. So I had that as well to look after my son. You know, it was so much going on. It was really getting to me, you know, and I did have enough at one time making music, and I just felt I can't do this at the moment. Let me just chill out a bit. I had a writing block as well. Everything I was doing was sounding the same, you know, and I thought to myself, I need to stop this and rethink what I'm doing.
Sure.
You know, I'm a little bit bored, you know, so I did some other stuff, some other styles of music. I was doing a bit of R&B and a bit of hip hop and all that.
With any success? With any success?
Not really. Just, you know, just doing writing for other people and all that, you know what I mean? But wasn't really any big projects. You know, most of the big projects were house projects, I must admit. Mm-hmm. You know, the good thing is I got to talk up with a load of people. Simon Dunmore, I got to talk up with Dunmore. He signed me to AMPM under the group Rhythm Source, right? And got Roger Sanchez, got to link up with Roger Sanchez, was all in the studio mixing that track as well. That's how I got to know Roger Sanchez. Well, I got to know Roger Sanchez through DJ Disciple. I used to hang out with Camacho more or less all the time. Camacho used to come, when he come to England, he used to come and stay by me. Or when I go to New York, I'll go and hook up with him in East Orange. He took me around and all that. DJ Disciple did the same thing. I used to hang out with Eddie, go to Eddie's studio, Smack Production in Jersey as well. You know, hang out with Freddie, hang out with Charles Dawkins. We all went like breakfast and all that. I've hung out with a lot of people over there. Mm-hmm. You know, that is, you know, even Ron Trent, about 90, Ron Trent came to my house when I was living in Brixton. I was doing a track. This is about 1992 or 93 or something like that. Who brought him to my house? Jeremy Newell. Brought Ron Trent to my house. I couldn't believe it. Ron Trent came on my desk and started mixing his track. You know, I couldn't believe it. And that was long, very, very, a very long time ago, you know. But, you know, for me, it was good to hook up with all the American producers, all the guys who I liked, who I really rated, Todd Terry, Louis Vega, Kenny Doe. They've all been good people and supported me. They've always spoke to me about music and all that, you know, and it's really good to have that inspiration from them as well, you know, because I'll be honest with you, when I started house, my main three producers I followed everything they did, man. It was Todd, Kenny, and Louis. Straight up.
Did you have any fanboy moments when you met them?
Eh?
Any fanboy moments when you met them? Or is Booker T too big for fanboy moments?
No. Listen, man. I did a remix of Off the Hook, Jody Watley for Atlantic Records. Right? Masters at Work were on the same remix. They even sent me the same, because Jody Watley had to go back and revoice the track. So she revoiced the track for Masters at Work. So they sent Johnny D at the time was A&R for Atlantic. So he sent me all the parts. And when I played, remember Bobby and Steve had a big part in Miami with Trouble playing me. I think he was playing on it as well, Andy. I think I've been playing on it as well. And Spoonie was on that gig as well. And it kind of kicked off with Trouble.
Yeah, I remember vividly.
That night, I played my remix of Off the Hook, right? And it smashed up the party. I couldn't even believe it. And when I was walking through the crowd, someone said, "Oh, Kenny wants to speak to you upstairs, Kenny and Louis." So I went upstairs, had a chat to them. And they asked me, "Did you do that remix?" So I said, "Yeah." They said that remix was mad. They loved it. And that made me so happy. I was so honored, you know what I mean, for these guys to big me up like that. It was the biggest thing for me, man. You know what I mean? Because I was inspired to make house by Todd Terry, Louis Vega. Their tracks, I've always loved their production. You know? So, that was a big thing for me.
Good. Shouts out to Boston, to Lisa. Good afternoon, my dear. Good to have you with us. In conversation with Booker T and Mr. Craig Bartlett. Great stories of the inspiration that you took from meeting those guys. And you mentioned all of those names. We all got to meet them. They had already cemented themselves within the infrastructure of the UK, the global house movement, and yet they were all still so very down to earth. I think when you go back to the mid-90s, being able to stand shoulder to shoulder with them in Miami or in New York in a club, you'd see them 12 months later and they'd remember you by name. And so you have that relationship. Nowadays, it's very difficult to get close to DJs of that level, you know. But all definitely very down to earth. There's not very many DJs, I think you'll have to agree, Craig, in the soulful house circuit who are, you know, I've used the term a few times tonight, knobheads. There's not a lot, is there really?
No. I think we're one of the very, very few family orientated departments of the global house scene.
Right.
Everybody tends to know each other, and you know, like you, Brooks, I met you through Bobby and Steve and the Miami thing and London and Garage City, and there was never ever any, like, I was having fanboy moments with the likes of you and Bobby and Steve and Trouble and Jeremy and Phil Asher and all those, because I'm a little lad from Wales. I'm from Cardiff, which should be, or feels like it's a million miles away from London, because at the time, the epicenter of everything I wanted and knew about was based in London. All you boys were in control of that. And for me to be, or have a little part or a glimpse into that life, was for me like your moment with Kenny and Louis. And then when I started meeting those boys, and, you know, my entire focus was about encouraging the likes of you, Bobby, Steve, all the other British guys, and all the Americans and the bigger Europeans to come and play at my party in Cardiff, because there was nothing on for me or my friends in Cardiff. We were coming to the Loft, Raw Club, Underground, Garage City. We were coming to those parties because that's what we wanted to hear. And it was when I was rubbing shoulders with you in the DJ booth in Garage City, I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, I got about 45 of his records in my box. Can't play any of them. What am I going to play now? Do you know what I mean? And it's funny when you actually recount all the stories. And I can remember vividly playing before you. And I thought, fucking hell, he's coming in the DJ booth. And I've had the same story with Andy when I played in Miss Moneypennies with Andy before him. And I'm thinking, oh my God, don't make a dick of yourself. Don't pull off the wrong record. Make sure. And it was at the time then, acetates were big, yeah. And I mean, everybody that we talk about, especially for you as a producer, I'm sure you used to spend many a Thursday afternoon in the mastering just to get those acetates. Yeah. And then for little old me to get all the dats off people like you to say, go on, Craig, knock yourself out, make sure you don't give it to anybody, and then sending them up and getting my own little acetates, thinking, oh my God, I'm playing acetates of stuff no one else has got in my country. They were big fanboy moments for me, mate. So I want to thank you for that and for just embracing people like me. And that's Andy's right. It's a family. And everybody I ever came up with in London, it was never, who are you? What are you doing? Yeah. It was like, wicked, bro. You're from Cardiff. You're from South Wales and you love what we're doing. Listen, knock yourself out. Here's a drink. Crack on. You're part of our family now. And I was brought into all of that. And that's why my love of Soulful House, or whatever you want, garage, whatever you want to call it, still burns really brightly now because of the love that everybody, not just in London, because we know as a family, it was across the UK, wasn't it? As you know, from Scotland, Manchester, Liverpool, Birmingham, we all played in a really decent club in every big city in the country, haven't we? But everybody's been very, 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 very helpful and friendly, I think. And it's testament to the friendliness of our scene. There's no one-upmanship. It's not about stepping over each other to get the bigger gigs. You know, people have said, go on, mate, you've come all the way from Cardiff. You play. I'm from London. It doesn't matter to me. I'll play next week. Do you know what I mean? And I've really appreciated that over the years, to be fair.
Yeah, but the 90s, to me, I'll be honest with you, that was the best time of house music. The 90s.
I was just about to ask that. I was going to say, do you think it's as good now as it was?
We knew each other. And the thing was, we all played up and down the country. It was just London as well. It was Birmingham. It was Leeds. It was Cardiff. It was all over. You know what I mean? You had Dilly G in Bristol. You had you in Birmingham. You had Craig Bartlett in Wales. You know, everyone was all over the place, man. And we all kind of hooked up and played. It was no ego thing. We all played each other. Because we all know each other. And the music was great them days. It wasn't like you're playing Soulful House, so we have to stick to that. It just was house music, house and garage.
That's it.
Across the board, man. It was a bit of tribal in there, a bit of soulful, a bit of deep. It was just house music.
Yeah. Understand? Got to send a shout out to Tony Greenaway. Says hi to you, Booker.
Easy Tony. Easy Tony.
The music man on our manor now. It's good to have hooked up with Tony. Sorry, G, I'm talking over you.
Sorry.
No.
What do you think about the 90s, Andy?
I love the 90s. I mean, now, as you can see in my man cave at the back of my house, it's crazy how fast the time goes. People who have seen me doing these talks on a regular will have heard me mention this, but I haven't been DJing on the circuit now for nearly 7 years, and it's incredible to think that that's how long it's been. But you know, a long story as to why that happened. But what I was getting around to was every Sunday I still do my radio show on Pressure. And all I do is I go to these racks, I pull out a handful of records, I've got a little slot by my decks, and I just go through them. I don't pre-program the show. I don't try and find the bullets, because I know 95% of this collection behind me are all bullets. And every Sunday I play, and depending on how many glasses of wine I have, I get really vocal about how much I love everybody, and I get lost, like Craig was saying, I get lost in a moment of, you know, remembering being in my council flat on the 19th floor 2-3 times a week, putting mixtapes together. And I've actually just found a tape. I've still got hundreds of tapes. I dug a tape out the other day, and on it says Andy Ward 94, the program, and in brackets, Fame tape. And thinking back, that was my tape that was going to catapult me to superstardom. That was my demo tape that I was going to give out to Miss Moneypennies, to the Steering Wheel, and the likes. And I did, and that's how I started to get, you know, a lot of the gigs. So the long answer to your great question is the fact that I love the 90s. You know, that's what it was all about for me. I forged amazing friendships. I did so many great things on paper. And then, of course, when we kicked into the 2000s and I started producing, it went up to another level. But nothing will ever come close to those Garage City days, those Ibiza days. You know, did I say Miami? I don't know. Just everything about it was just, and I get goosebumps talking about it now. I'm so passionate about it. It's unbelievable, you know.
We had great clubs back in those days, man. And I think because of the club scene was every weekend, it wasn't monthly. All these clubs was running every week.
Mm-hmm.
Ronson, all these back to basics. Most of these clubs, Dave Bear's club was a weekly club, innit? It was
every Saturday night.
You know what I mean? So that's where we could party. The party was heavy back in them days.
Mm-hmm.
We were partying every week, playing out, partying, and then Friday, Saturday.
Even I was doing fortnightly Saturdays in Cardiff back then in the mid-90s and putting people like yourself, Basement Boys one week, Move the Swing. That was every other bloody week, which is madness now to think that that's how frequent it was.
It was crazy. So when you took your foot off the gas and you started to slow down, when did you get the fire? When did you get the passion again and think, right, you know what? Was there something that you heard? Because I know how it happens. It happens to me sometimes. You'll hear a DJ, you'll hear a production, and you think, boy, that's nice, man. That's give me some inspiration. Let me just try a thing. Yeah.
I think I've been on and off with music for a little while, but it's in the 2000s, say about 2007, 2009, about 2009, 2010. I kind of got back into the music, started hearing some good stuff, hearing a lot of stuff from Spain, Charisma, all these stuff. Effective at putting out a lot of good house tracks back then, you know what I mean? So I think I kind of got back into it at that time, you know. Well, listening, I was DJing still, but I wasn't really making that much music because I wasn't getting no vibes. I think I had a writing block as well, so I wasn't getting that vibes. You know, you take something to get you that vibe back again, and I think like the 2000s and that, I don't think the music was that great coming out to me. I don't think so, you know what I mean? But like 2010, 2011, I started to hear a lot of bangers, and it gave me the inspiration again to start banging out tunes, you know. So, and getting back into mixing and you know, using a studio and all that as well. I had the equipment here, but I wasn't using it. Got a bit lazy and all that, you know what I mean? Just DJing and forgetting about making music and all that. But I did get the inspiration about 2010, 2011.
And so the modern day scene now, it's a question I hear a lot of people ask within interviews. How do you feel of having to be the producer, the promoter, the social media expert, you know, the market, all of these kind of things? Do you feel comfortable doing that, or are you? Oh, well, I know the answer you're going to give me. Are you just like, sure, it's about the music, man. I don't have to go for all of that.
It is about the music, but it is about social media. Now, everything's social media, mate. I'm telling you. When you put your tune out, you've got to promote it here, promote it there, send it to this person, send it to that person. You know, it does save a bit of money though. Then you have to post out all these tracks and all that, you know, and the artwork and all that as well. It's about promotion. There's some people who's got music out and the music's not really that good, you know, but because of social media and they're pushing it out here and there and there and that, it gets a blind, you know what I mean? But I think it all depends. It has to be good music as well. You have to be making good music.
How do you feel you stand in today's based in the rat race of today? Do you feel you put a good representation of yourself? Do you think you could be stronger, or have you got a good team around you?
Yeah, I can hold my own. I can hold my own in the scene today. I've been in this game over like nearly 30 years. You know what I mean? So I know what to do. I know who to talk to, you know, and I always say it's always based on your music. You have to make good tunes. That's the only way people's going to respect you, is by good music. You know what I mean? And I think I make decent music that DJs are playing. You know, I try to make something good for the crowd out there to like. You know, I've always got my own style. You know what I mean? But I do know what I like.
So tell us again, because I'm not ashamed to say I don't really pay a great deal of attention to new music anymore because I'm not going out playing, so I don't feel I have to. But you'd have to be living in a cave to not have heard that whole fuss of a tune that was just getting rinsed out, that you did an illegal, not illegal, that's an unauthorized reworking of a track. I think it was even last year or the year before that was getting played on My Soul. Who was the big pop
Was that,
artist. Ariana Grande, was it?
what, Emily Sandé?
Emily Sandé, that was it.
Emily Sandé, yeah. Well, you know something, right? That wasn't a bootleg. I had a friend who knew Emily Sandé. He said to me, he gave me the original track with the vocals, everything on top. He said to me, our books, listen, I know Emily, can you work something with this? I liked the track. I thought it was good. So I said, give me it. Let me mess around with it. So I did an Afro kind of vibe with it. And I sent it back to him. He sent it to Emily. Emily went mad. She loved it. So I gave it to a lot of DJs on My Soul and all that. And everyone started to play. I didn't really boot it. She didn't ask me. Her friend asked me to do the remix. Yeah, so I just messed around with it, put some beats underneath it, made it sound fat and make it sound fire, and then gave it a different spin on it. And before I gave it to anyone, I sent it back to Raymond. Raymond sent it to Emily. Emily loved it so much, she said, all right, she's going to get me to do a proper mix on it. She's going to give me all the parts and all that. But she didn't have all the parts at the time, so I had to wait. So I started to give it out to a lot of DJs, and everyone started to go mad over it and start playing it out.
Mm-hmm. This is only, like I say, vague memories. Did it cause a little bit of controversy at some point, though, with the label or something?
With her and the label, not with me and the label. It was her and her label, because she wanted to do more urban stuff and all that, and her label didn't want to support the urban stuff because at this time she's doing more commercial music, and it was more, that's the sales that she was getting, but she wanted to do a bit more urban stuff, and the record label wasn't really having it with her about that. They didn't even want to release the track.
Okay, they didn't want to tarnish the road she was going down. And
the track was produced by a producer who worked with Drake. That's who produced that track originally, and the label still didn't want to release it.
Okay.
So with My Soul and that, My Soul really the ones who pushed the track. They played it on the radio, exposed it to a lot more people and that, you know what I mean? And a lot of the urban DJs started to play it, like the soul DJs and all that. Everyone was playing it. It was a track that even the soul DJs were playing it as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, it was a good look for me still, because it got me to do some writing for her on our new album and all that, So kind of, I'm happy with that at the moment,
Nice. And the My Soul connection, that's strong as well with you generally.
Yeah. The My Soul connection is strong, My Soul helped me a lot with promoting my music as well, So I'm grateful for Ronnie and all them who's helped me push my music on the station, But I'll be honest with you, I got more back in the vibes. When the coronavirus hit and all that, that's when I really thought about, let me start getting back into the music and start banging out some tunes. And I think that's what really made me start pushing out more tunes and all that, when we was on the lockdown didn't have nothing to do, so I just was computers just smashing out tunes, really.
Yeah, it was a good creative time for you. So I'm gonna just chuck this at you head on, and you probably already might know the answer. If I ask you what is your proudest production moment, what would be the first thing that comes into your mind?
My proudest production moment, is working in Soundwest Studios. CJ downstairs, because I've always rated CJ. That's one guy he doesn't get enough props for. CJ McIntosh is another inspirational guy for me on the music scene, because he did a lot of...
Because he's too bloody modest, too humble. He's too humble, he won't give himself any praise at all. I've tried to get him on here, I got no chance.
He's a good guy, he's a decent guy, he's a boss mixer. When it comes on the decks, mixing in the club, I've watched him play many times at Ministry.
Incredible.
Bagging his mouth on one side, his mixes on point. It's so tight. It's so tight. You can't even hear you don't even hear the next tune coming. That's how good he is. But production-wise, my big thing for me was working downstairs. I was working upstairs in Soundwest Studio. He was working downstairs. I even had to go down and say, "You right, CJ?" We had a chat and all that. And I think that's one of my biggest moments, to be in a big 48-track recording studio. CJ's working for Universal upstairs. I'm working for Sony downstairs. And that was the biggest thing for me.
Wicked.
Amazing. It's a shame with CJ because, like you say, he made lots of amazing tracks, late 80s, early 90s. And I've talked to him many, many times, and I'm sure many people have. Why haven't you done any more? Because he just got completely fed up and bored and disinterested in it, which is
That's
when
what
you're that talented, that's got to be so frustrating, hasn't it?
Yeah, but that's what happens. Sometimes you do so much music. You got to remember, we was making music all through the 90s.
Every week, yeah.
Well, Ricky's the same. Ricky Morrison, he was just
Yeah.
kind of cool down for a bit, you know. We did it for the love. We just wasn't doing it for the money. So it has to be a little vibes there that you want to go into the studio and make music. You know what I mean? We didn't just go in the studio to just make music. We're getting $1 here, so let's just go in and bang out a tune. It wasn't like that. We had to get that vibes, a good vibes to say, yeah, you want to make music all the time. That's what I'm saying. Back in those days, you couldn't get me out of the studio. I was in the studio all the time. I just loved it so much. Nowadays, I'll have 2 days in the studio. I think, I don't want to see the studio. I want to watch a movie or something or do something else. You know what I mean? But you know, it's just vibes. It's just vibes. I think if CJ had the vibes on him and he still wanted to, he'd be out there making tunes because he's a good producer.
Oh, he's fantastic, isn't he?
He gave me a lot of inspiration. Ricky's another one as well. Ricky Morrison is a bad boy producer. He introduced me to my first MPC 60. You know, Ricky is another one who more or less got me started making house music. Right, I was in Catch a Groove downstairs, right, in the record shop. Ricky's there talking to Danny Buddha Morales. So I said, where you lot going? I'm going upstairs. Do you want to come, Booker? So I said, okay, let me come with you. I went upstairs to Ricky's. He's got a little apartment upstairs from the record shop. I went up there and he pulled out this machine. He took this cover off this machine. So I said, what's that? I said, it's my drum machine. Bruv, him and Danny put this disc in and they fired up some beats. I said, I'm definitely getting one of these. That's when I bought my first drum machine because of Ricky Morrison. Him and Danny Buddha Morales was in there banging out some sick beat. This beat was so dangerous. I thought, I'm going to get some money. I'm going to go out and buy myself a drum machine. That was the first thing I ever bought. Right? And I give that to Ricky.
Another gentleman who really could do no wrong in the mid-90s with any tune. I mean, I played a record. I played one of my old Choice FM mixes the other day, and it was an M&S mix, and I don't think they got any bigger than an M&S production tune. Some of them were just incredible, you know. I've not spoken to Ricky for a long time actually, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I got a lot of respect for that gentleman, bad man.
For me personally, right now, I think like the 90s and all that. I'm so grateful that I was part of the 90s scene. So I got to meet so much people. I got to meet you, I got to meet Craig, I got to meet so much Americans. I've done a lot of remixes for majors, right? Which you don't get that now. All these remixes who's doing all these tunes and all that, they're not getting nowhere from the majors, all indie labels. Back in them days, we had the big labels chasing us to do remixes. Mm-hmm. I had 5 songs on Pete Tong's Essential Radio 1 mix, right? And that is a big thing to have 5 remixes. No, 4 remixes and 1 production on his Essential Mix show. Essential Mix and his Essential Mix CD, Radio 1 CD. You know his CDs sell a lot.
Yeah. Mark Hogg's giving you a lot of love in Manchester, saying Booker T is the man. Well, we all know that.
Big ups. I'm so grateful that who supported me over the years. You know what I mean? I love everybody. I'm the most humblest guy. I'm not that kind of guy who's stuck up or anything like that. Anyone can approach me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, you say that, so let me broach the subject that I said I was going to talk to you about. You are very humble and you got no ego whatsoever. You recently it was like someone jabbed you a little bit too much and you had to speak out about a certain thing. So do you want to tell us about that? Tell us from the beginning.
Well, I don't really want to get too much into this, you know, because this thing here called that, Andy, this thing's caused a lot of problems.
Has it really? Okay, but so I will cloak it in. I won't be so specific. You basically came out and you were discussing about an event that you were booked to play at. So first of all, it started off that you were only given a short set. Now, as a promoter myself who gives DJs short sets at an event because the time is limited, I kind of understood the angle on that, and at the same time I understood your angle because I know you and I knew that what you were saying, I knew where the energy was coming from, and I know there wasn't any bad-mindedness involved. It could have been read the wrong way though. It could have been taken the wrong way.
You know something? That day I just was in a mood. You know what I mean? I see things. Sometimes I see things. All right, put it this way: I see people's names right on flyers. They've got their names and big names. It's like my name's at the little, like I'm the warm-up DJ. I've been on this scene for like 30 years. I've done a lot for the UK dance scene.
Undeniably.
Yep.
I don't go around boasting it. I don't go around saying I've worked with this. A lot of people have come up to me and say I've worked with this. I don't go around telling people who I've worked with. I don't need to. I've done it. I know what I've done. You understand? But the thing is, I just want that respect with my name. You know what I mean? If you're gonna put, all right. I don't want to mention certain man's name, but I'm gonna have to mention it. If you put certain people like Neil Pearce, Size and their name up there, you gotta put my name bigger than this up there. That's how I feel, because I've done a lot for the scene. You can't just put me underneath a lot of these DJs who haven't done what I've done. No disrespect to Neil. Neil's a good DJ, he's a good producer. Size says looks up to me. Size says is a cool guy. I've got love for all these guys then, but I want that respect. I haven't said nothing for years. I've been seeing this for years. It's been going on for years. You understand? And I thought to myself, you know something? Can't take this no more. You know, people are they're not like certain promoters ain't respecting what I've done. You know what I mean? So this is why I had to make that rant. And it's not just at Southport or anything like that. You know what I mean? I shouldn't really have done that. What I did there caused a lot of problems. You know what I mean? But that's how I am. I'm that kind of person. I will talk it as it is.
Well, you can't put a lid on that passion, and you're not the first person to have done that. There's a few people who have done that, and I've personally gone out of my way to say to them, maybe you could have addressed that in a more diplomatic way. You know, that could have been done. I knew I didn't need to do that to you because no one can't tell Booker T anything. You know, it's as simple as that. But I'm surprised that there was some fallout from that. You know. And it's also good that you can come on and say that there's clearly you mentioned Neil and Cy, for example. Again, two guys, there ain't no more humble and nicer guys on the scene than them man there.
I go with both of them. But what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, I've done a lot. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Respect what I've done. Andy, you've done a lot. Craig's done a lot. They can't wipe us out of this history of house music. UK house, they cannot wipe us out. Nobody who's after us can wipe us out of that. Because we created that for to give these guys something to work on. You understand? Mm-hmm. You know, if it wasn't for us, some of these people wouldn't even be here. Paul Trouble gave a lot of these DJs, like time to work with them or to help them. Or Paul helped a lot of these DJs.
Definitely.
Give them warm-up slots and all that. You know, and they haven't repaid Paul. They haven't said nothing or helped him out or anything. I'm not going to go out like that. I am not going out like that. You understand? Mm-hmm. I want people to show me that bit of respect because I've done a lot for the scene. You know what I mean? I'm not that kind of guy who causes trouble. I've been cool with everybody. Anyone can approach me. Anyone can talk to me or anything like that. All I want is respect. When you see, if you're going to put up, even if you put up Spin, I think my name should be up there as well. You understand? I've done as much as Spin. Mm-hmm. I played in America. I played in LA, San Francisco. You know what I mean? I played in Seattle. You know?
Yeah, but I think sometimes you got to choose your battles wisely, you know. And nowadays, unfortunately, it is about the marketing, and some people haven't got that memory, you know.
Because they're American, but I'm not knocking Spen. Me and Spen are cool. You understand? I get on with Spen so good. He hits me up and I hit him up. You know what I mean? He gets me work. I give him work and all that. We do a lot of things together. All I'm just saying is, right, for me as a UK, we all need to respect each other a bit more and help out each other a bit more. You know what I mean? And respect what we've done. You understand? If it weren't for clubs like Craig Club, if it weren't for you on Choice and all these things, if it wasn't for Bobby and Steve as well, you know, a lot of us have done a lot for the scene, yeah. But they're not showing us the love.
Well, that's why we're doing this on a regular, to bring these people on, the unsung heroes. Nobody can't say that you're an unsung hero at all. But as you say, sometimes the memories fade and people forget. So I think you were totally within your rights to say that, you know. And I think that there's no such thing as bad publicity, especially in this game. So, and when you get behind the decks and you smash it, you can stand there, puff up your chest and say, I did tell you, didn't I?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Listen, you know, I've played at, we have our bad times playing at parties and we have our good times playing at parties. I've had many, many good times and all that. A lot of people know I'm a good DJ, you know, but it's just, it's just booking me and showing me that respect. You know, I know I'm a bit hard sometimes. Some people think, oh, Booker, his mouth's too big and all that. He might say this and that. That's how I am, but I don't embarrass people. One thing I don't do, I don't embarrass nobody. I will tell you how it is. You know, I've fucked up. Sorry about the swearing. I've messed up a few times myself. I've missed flights going to air. I missed flight going to your party. I missed flight. I got to the airport. I see Neil Pearce waving at me, going through the thing, saying, "All right, Booker, we here." I had to wait a few hours to catch another flight. I had to pay for another flight. You know what I mean? So I've messed up. You know what I mean? I laugh it off at the end of the day, but
yeah. Well, I mentioned Tony Greenaway earlier. I went to see Tony playing someone that you know from the UK who's now over here, and he said I was talking to Booker and he was saying about you haven't had him back at Vocal Booth, and I said I've booked Booker at Vocal Booth, and me and Booker go back 25 years. There isn't anyone tighter than Booker than I am. But the thing is, there's so many people that you have to get around to book it. And so that when he told me that, I immediately came out and I rang you, didn't I? And I said, listen, man, I just want you to know I do want to get you on, but it's so easy for these. Next year. And before you know it, 5-6 years down the line, and you haven't been. I mean, ask Craig. I've tried to book him for the last 3 years. And
stop it. Don't start that again. It's not my
but
fault.
yeah, so, I mean, I'm not making any excuses for myself because I've booked you once in 12 years of the event. It could have been more. Yeah, but, you know, from my own point of view, there's a lot to go around. But you were saying, coming back to the 60-minute set, you weren't feeling that as well, right? It's like, I need 2 hours, man. That's what you were saying.
you know, that's the best time to play. 2 hours is a good set. It takes you an hour to warm up. You know, that's what I feel anyway. 10 tunes is an hour, man. Yeah. 10 tunes. If you're playing it for 6 minutes, that's more or less an hour. Mm-hmm. So you need 20 tunes is 2 hours. So you need time to warm up. You need to get that vibes, get the crowd moving, you know, test a few exclusives. You know, not just play all the bangers. You want to play 1 and 2 exclusives, couple classics, a lot of new stuff as well, just to get the crowd warming, and the tracks that the crowd really love, that's going to get them on the dance floor. So you need a little while. Most DJs now, we're jumping on an hour, we're banging it out, all the bangers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pointless, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, remember when you used to do a set and your whole set was programmed towards that key moment, that golden nugget where you were like, right, I'm building to this and I know this is going to smash it. So many of those down the years, right?
Yeah, so many. You know, carrying vinyl out those days, man, I never programmed, I never really playlist my set. I just picked the best tunes. I was a promo man as well. I always like to get a lot of the new stuff. So when I play out, I like to play a lot of new stuff. I do play 1 and 2 old stuff and the tracks that people would jump up to straight away. But I was always that guy who liked to go out and play a lot of new tunes. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that's what makes you a good DJ as well.
I think, fortunately, back in the day, we had the luxury of playing to people who would allow you to do that. Now, not that I'm out and about on the scene anymore, but I feel that a lot of DJs don't have the luxury of being able to do that anymore because people don't give you that chance. Because as soon as you play a tune they don't know, as soon as the energy drops a little bit, it's like, should we go and have a cigarette? Should we go and do this? You know, so many different things change the whole dynamics of the nightclub. That smoking inside had made a big change to the energy of a dance floor. You know, people just leaving, going outside. Once they get outside and sit down, trying to get them off their ass for 35 minutes because they're chewing off everyone's ears next to them. You know, little things like that down the years were the slow decline of the clubbing scene. But I see so many brilliant parties out there now, so many videos of people going about and doing their things. And, you know, us 50, 60-year-old people still going out partying. It's insane to think, you know, when you were 18, 19, 20, 21, if you had a conversation with someone and you saw someone in a club, you say, twat over there is 50 years of age, shouldn't he be at home? I mean, that's us. It's crazy, right? Craig, tell us about some of the clientele that frequent your parties now. Are you finding you are getting a lot of younger people come out?
No, not at all. Somebody made the comment. I did a party two weeks ago with Horse Meat Disco, and somebody commented that the average age on the crowd looked about 70. And it's, to a certain extent, it's so amazing that for almost, as Booker said, America's been going 23 years. People that came to the very first event I ever did are still coming back to my events because it's the same with it. Like you said, Book, your lifestyles change. You'd rather sit home and watch a movie. They've done that for a lot of time. They've brought up their own kids. They've now got grandkids. And now it's like, do you know what? We got nothing to do Saturday. We got no kids, no grandkids. There's no films on the telly. We're going to go out raving again because we've known and loved that all our lives. So we get the odd couple of youngsters, and they're generally linked to family members that have been coming to my events since the beginning. Obviously, the music we're promoting that I still love doesn't really appeal that greatly to that many youngsters, especially in Cardiff, because, you know, the emphasis for them. I mean, there was a big party in Cardiff on Saturday with a lad from Newcastle called Patrick Topping. He's probably mid-20s. He's on 50 grand a gig or whatever. There's 6,500 people going mental in the rain to him. Do you know what I mean? That's what they're into because of that social media accessibility and what they're fed.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm still promoting the love of amazing music. And amazing music that stands the test of time is very few and far between with all this. Like you said, Book, somebody could turn a computer on, press a drum machine, put a pattern in, put a sample in, put it on track source. They sell 30 copies. All their friends are playing it. And do you know what I mean? So the longevity of the dance, if that's what you want to call it, I'm really pleased that people are still feeling what we're doing, you know what I mean? And they're still comfortable as 50, 60. I'm sure there might have been some 70-year-olds in there, I don't know. But it's an age.
It's mad when you think about it. It is actually quite crazy.
It's madness. Because as a kid, is something I'll always remember. I thought somebody in their 30s was ancient back then. And now to an 18-year-old, when they see us in a club, well, you know, me and my friends still go out occasionally to other people's clubs. We look like undercover police officers. we're wearing New Balance trainers. We're wearing
Stone Island jackets.
Not that tight jeans, possibly Stone Island jackets, or, you know, a record label T-shirt that hasn't got holes or rips in it. And they're looking at us in the corner with two cans of Stripe, and they're thinking, what the fuck are those lot doing in here? They come to pick their kids up, have they? And it's quite funny sometimes, you know what I mean? Because the party I did 2 weeks ago, it was like the Freedom Day in Wales. So originally, the club wasn't planning to open. So I took over the rooftop. Supposed to go on till 11 o'clock, which it did. Then the government announced that clubs could open. Social distancing was removed. So the club owner rang me. He said, "Oh, Craig, we're going to have to open a club at 10 o'clock. I was like, oh, I said, that's fine, but, you know, don't let them upstairs. I'll get my lot out down the back stairs 11 o'clock. He said, oh, the problem is we haven't got enough doormen because they've all got different jobs and it's just going to be a nightmare. I was like, oh, we'll see what happens. In 10 o'clock, 1,400 people from outside on the streets come in the club. They all come up the stairs. They're desperately wanting to know what's going on the roof because it's different music to the R&B that's going on in the main club. It was like the opposite of the fear of the Walking Dead. It was like the fear of the young new generation. 18-year-old kids stormed the roof. There was a load of 50-somethings all getting down to Soulful House and Disco. And then this group of kids just appear. And everyone's thinking, what the fuck is going on? Where these kids come from? It was quite a bizarre coincidence.
Did you manage to keep them all?
They stayed, yeah. So who knows? They might be coming Saturday. But I probably got one of the oldest DJs still on the block. John Morales is playing for me Saturday.
He's very excited about that, right? I see him post. He loves Cardiff.
He's really excited about coming back, bless him, which is, you know, he's nearly 70, John. And that's, when you think about it, that's crazy, isn't it? Where he's been producing, 49 years.
So can I ask you both something? So when you think of the disco thing now, because this disco thing is like disco's back. You know, I was in Ibiza and we went to Defected Glitterbox.
Yep.
Nuts in there, mate. 5,000 kids rocking to mate. Rocking to Dimitri from Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, playing straight up disco.
Eh?
Playing straight up disco.
Disco. He played Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
He played a lot of stuff, man. Louis was playing as well.
Yeah.
But I must admit, there was about 3 different rooms, you know what I mean? But there was 5,000 people in there. And the main room, they had glitterbox, man. It was packed in there, but it was all disco.
Yeah.
So we play. Me and Ricky was there as well with us. You know what I mean? Strictly disco, all the cut discos that's coming out now. What do you think about all that disco stuff that's coming out? Because a lot of it's starting to sound
me personally, I love an authentic disco record because the production behind it is incredible. You mentioned John Morales, and if you listen to some of the stories of how he put his music together, and we're all music men, so we love those tunes. So if it's an authentic record and it's a great tune, then all power to it. But the thing that annoys me is the fact that a lot of the DJs and a lot of the sound that's being played is stuff that's been done for so long now. And in my opinion, could be wrong, a lot of the people that go out, they're not really into it. They just go in there because it's the cool thing to do. Like Craig, Craig was just saying, I took my kids to Defected in Croatia a couple of years ago. There was a glitterbox night on there, and up until that point, I thought it was all a bit cliche. I thought it was a bit tongue in cheek. I thought they were cashing in on the scene. I got nothing but love for Dunmore, of course, having worked very closely with him. But then when I saw it all in action, it did give me a newfound respect for it, because I could see that it was authentic what they were doing, and yet at the same time I I'm not sold on it a great deal personally, because I just think we've all been doing this for so long now. I bear no malice to any of them. I'm happy at the game, but I also do think, oh come on man, if you or I were playing those tunes, we wouldn't get the same love as a superstar getting it. And you have to argue, well, is that our fault? Is that their fault? And it kind of comes back to the argument that you were saying, I reckon, Booker.
I think what goes around comes around, man. I think the disco thing is going to end in about 2 years' time. They're going to get bored and they're going to move on to something. If there's going to be deep house, it's going to be something else.
Well, wasn't it? It was. Wasn't it Deep House a few years ago with, the Disclosure bubble burst, didn't it? And then it was disco, and then something else is going to come back around.
Disclosure.
Prog rock or something next, wasn't it?
Yeah. Bob Povey's just come in and said hi, so got to give a lot of love to Bob and Alex as well in Georgia. Alex was living in Cardiff 96 to 2001. He said an incredible time that was, the glory days of America for sure. Some of the back end. Actually, no. Yeah, 2001 is okay. It started to go downhill a bit after 2001, did it? For everyone.
Oh, yes.
So, I mean...
the cigarettes. The cigarette ban in 2008.
That's
wiping out, I think.
So, we've been chatting here for a while, and we'll carry on chatting. I'm happy to carry on talking if you're happy.
I think in the 2000s, everything changed. Everything started to change. Mm-hmm. And it started to hit 2004, 2005, 2006. Things started to change. Different styles of music started to come in. There was a lot. 2006, this is when me personally, I started to hear a lot of Charisma stuff from Charisma. I was hearing a lot of stuff from Spain. Defected were pushing out a lot of stuff with those guys. That time, Cold Red was just coming on the scene and all that. I think 2004, 2005, that's when I started to hear most of the Cold Red stuff coming out.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Code Red. I love Spence stuff and all that. I like
me
as well. I always really rate their stuff. I think that's when things started to change a bit.
I always was amazed at how someone like Kerry Chandler had this like rebirth and suddenly all the younger kids, and then he just went to that next level. To that super stardom. No questioning why, of course, he's an amazingly talented guy, another one of the most down-to-earth people you'll ever get to meet. But I always wondered how he got embraced by that different side of things, and then again started charging them silly money for fair play to him, of course. But you Craig, you know what we're talking about. That we're talking about dollars to book him. It was next level things, man.
Marketing, mate. That's what's got him on the next level. It's all marketing.
I don't think it was. What do you think, Craig? I think you would probably be the most.
For me, what I noticed with Kerry and Tony Humphries as well, at the same, they were starting to get booked by DC10, by those two Italians. And then I know Kerry well, like we all do. But Maurizio picked him up and started looking after him along with Tony and started getting him in more Italian clubs, more and more. And I just think he got embraced by that tougher. Is it tougher? I'm not sure if that's the right word, but that deep house, because Kerry was very, very, he sort of straddled a few musical genres, didn't he? I mean, when he played for me and he played in all the big, he was playing straight up Soulful House. In Southport, he'd be playing live keys, he'd have key, singers, and it was straight up unadulterated Soulful House. But then he started being booked into these DC10s and started playing deep house with soulful edge to it, which sort of, I think at the time, was a bit of a welcome relief from that monotony of everybody playing that music that hasn't got a beat.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to sound disrespectful,
No.
but they were all playing similar shit, weren't they? And it was a bit, and I just think they were putting on being experimental. And he just went from a superstar, like a club filling DJ, to an arena filling DJ overnight, I think, didn't he, really?
Yeah.
Going from being us able to afford him to never in a million years could we afford him to play for us now, which is a shame, really. And that's what my promoter hat on. That's my biggest bugbear with a lot of these DJs. Like Booker was saying about that respect, knowing where we've come from, what we've done without certain things that some of us have done. They perhaps might not have had that journey to where they are now. And all I ask sometimes is for some of these guys to go, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to come and do your club. I know it only holds 500 people. It's not about the money. I know it's going to be an amazing gig. I can play whatever I want and everybody's going to love everything I do. If I pull the wrong record off, people are going to cheer. But they don't do that.
No, but you know what? If in their defense, if I can say, they've been doing that for the last 25 years. And now the fact that instead of coming and playing for, let me just throw a pretend figure, instead of going and playing somewhere for 1,500 quid, they can go and play somewhere for 15 grand. There's a big difference between that.
But if you go back to Booker's point about playing on a big festival, which they all do, and they get an hour, even these big boys, an hour and a half, and they're sort of forced into playing by the people playing before him and after him, and 60 DJs might have played before him if they're playing at 11 o'clock in a festival. Where's the fun in that? They got money. Do you know what I mean? It's like Jack Grealish, Harry Kane, Lionel Messi. How much money do you actually need? Once you've got enough, yeah? So come on, lads, if you're watching this, just come and play a good gig.
Wicked. Okay, so let's bring it back then from all those other guys. Lee Wright has been listening. He says, great show tonight, guys. Congrats, Booker. 2021 has been a fine vintage for your productions. So let's bring it bang up to date. Tell us what's going on in the world of Booker T right about now.
Right. Well, I'm running my label, Liquid Deep Recordings, at the moment. I'm sitting on about 20 songs at the moment. I'm doing my album as well. I'm doing a compilation as well. There's a few remixes I'm doing for a few different labels and all that. I've just done Keep On Moving as well for Soul to Soul at the moment.
Okay.
It should be out. Well, I heard it's meant to come out this year, but I heard it's not coming out again now. It's not coming out till next year. I don't know why that is. They put Back to Life, get nominated for a Grammy. If it happens, it happens. So a lot of people's been supporting that tune from day one, which I'm really grateful for that. But I've got loads of songs coming. I'm working with Emily at the moment. I've done a few songs for her album. I'm working with Sherry Hicks. I'm working with Earl W. Green, Lee Wilson, Stilo. There's a lot of songs. Alicia Laverne, Donny. I've got loads of songs sitting there waiting to come out. A few South African artists as well. I've signed a few tracks from South Africa.
Okay.
It's not even Afro house. It's more soulful, just more deeper soulful with some really lovely songs. And just pushing my label. That's what it is right now. getting my album together at the moment. You know, I'm about 7 tracks in for my album at the moment, so got a few more that might come out later on this year or maybe next year. But I've got a compilation coming out in December, Liquid Sessions compilation, where it's going to feature some new tracks. A couple of the old tracks are going to be remixed and all that, you know. And I've got a few remixes on board, which I can't say at the moment. We've done some swaps, you know, some good names as well, some really good names. You know, it's going to be featured on the label and all that, and I'm going to be featured on their label. So I'm looking forward to that. You know, I've got my studio right here, so I'm just always making tunes and that, you know. So there's a lot.
And representation, is anyone managing you at the moment, or are you taking care of everything yourself?
I do everything myself, man. You know, I don't need a manager at the moment, you know what I mean? Because I think if I was signed to a majors or something like that, then I would need a manager to look after like production side of it. But at the moment, I can handle everything. And the DJing, I haven't got an agent. I'm just taking all the bookings myself. So, you know, so everyone out there, feel free to phone me, email me if you want to book in. I'm cool, you know. I won't buy it.
Just give him more than an hour, for God's sake.
2 hours. 2 hours, and make sure his name's right up there.
Yes. Yes. It's just about my name being placed, you know. That's my brand, man. It's like in America. In America's your brand.
Yeah.
Wood, right. You know, that's your name brand.
That's exactly right.
You know, I work.
Fair play to you, but and I should say it really, because a lot of people wouldn't have said anything. They'd have just got on thinking, oh well, it's a good gig. Excuse me, my name's on the flyer. But fair play. Kudos to you for standing up for yourself and what you believe in and what you've worked so bloody hard for, mate. And that's, you know, if I had a cap on, I'd take it off and doff it to you. So, because it could jeopardize future gigs, couldn't it? When you speak out like that, do you know what I mean?
Well, I'll be honest with you, bruv. I'll be honest with you. You know something, right? I'm in my 50s, man. I've done everything back in the day. I've done it all, you know what I mean? So, I'm just speaking for all of us as DJs, producers, promoters, you know what I mean? We've all been there and done it, man. Just don't overlook us like we haven't done nothing for the scene. We all have.
Yeah.
You know, we've been about, I've played at a lot of clubs, you know, and I've got respect for a lot of promoters, you know what I mean? And people ain't done anything bad to me or anything like that or given me shit times or anything. It's just that in this day and age, I think my name should be up there a bit. We've got, look how much good producers we've got. We've got Grant Nelson, Jeremy Sylvester, you know what I mean? We've got Ricky Morrison. All of us have done things from way back in the 90s, you know? And we're documented. We've had so much tunes on vinyl. A lot of these new producers, none of the tunes are, some of it's on vinyl, some of it ain't. But we've done most of the major stuff that a lot of these guys won't get a look into now.
Yeah.
Majors ain't even giving out remixes like that unless your name is massively big out there, right? You know, can't get remixes from majors. Not even Americans are getting any remixes from the majors like they used to. Masters at Work was on everything. Anything that was from a major, Masters at Work was on it. You know, it's not like that no more. The game's changed, you know? all I'm just saying is we've done a lot for the history as well. All of us here, Bobby and Steve, you know, Andy, you know, Lee Wright, you know. We used to go up to Lee Wright. I used to play Back to Basics once a month. I was grateful for those bookings. It was good parties. Dave Bear, used to talk to Dave Bear. He was a cool geezer, you know what I mean? So, you know, I'm just saying, just don't leave us out of the history, man, of house music. And, you know...
That's impossible. That is impossible for Booker T to be left out of the history books. And we'll definitely get you to come back on here again and come and join us with some more people, because as we get the rota of names, we're finally getting to speak to these people, small, big, tall, short, whatever, you know, everyone's got a story to tell. And Booker, I know your journey is far from over. As I say, we could sit here waxing lyrical all evening, but I think we've covered a lot, right?
Yeah, I'll still be here. I'm not going nowhere, bro.
Wicked. So Craig, weekend.
Yeah, John Morales up on the roof. We're going down in the basement for the first... Yeah, talking about old as well. This is just me as a promoter. So we booked roof party originally, yeah, from 4 till 10. Lovely, nice middle-aged shout-outs for everybody that thinks they can go home at 10 o'clock and have a nice time. Club's allowed to open. We've done out the basement downstairs. Fantastic space. I wish I'd had in the 90s. It's that kind of space. It's absolutely to die for. Amazing sound system. Very, very similar to Garage City. Long rectangle, bar on one side, DJ booth right across the back wall. Amazing. Low ceiling. It's going to be fantastic. So then I started telling all the close people to meet. Darren Stewart, who's listening. Darren, good evening to you, young man. Gareth, like, lads, we're going to go into the club. Really? Yeah. What time's it finishing though? Oh, about 4. Or should we finish at 3? So,
Excellent.
we've got the club till 3 downstairs. So John Morales is playing, because originally it was just the roof upstairs. So I said to John, 8 till 10, you'll finish off. Lovely. So then I rang him and I said, John, we got the basement now. He said, have you? What time's that on till though? I said, 3. He said, do you want me to play down in the basement? I said, well, yeah. He said, what? So you want me to play 8 till 10 and then in the basement? I said, well, yeah. And if you wouldn't mind, he said, Craig, I'm 68 years of age. He said, when you said 8 till 10, I knew I was getting up for a nice breakfast on Sunday morning. So he said, can we sort out times on Saturday for down in the club to see how I'm feeling, to see what time I can play? I said, yeah, don't worry about it. So, yeah, it's a long shift. But thankfully, the weather is set to be 21 to 23 degrees and sunshine, very little wind. Listen, you used to care about the weather. Now, listen, waxing lyrical like Michael Fish. So everybody that is coming, you could dress up to get down because the weather's going to be lovely. It's going to be a nice long shift. It's not going to be cut up modern disco. It's going to be proper soulful house and garage with original disco remixes and re-edits from one of the original pioneers of that production remix process, Mr. John Morales from M&M Productions. So really, really, really looking forward to it, to be fair. So just going to try and get some shut-eye in before the weekend because it'll be the latest I've been out in
years.
2 years.
Right, okay. Well, I will be fast asleep by 10 o'clock, no doubt.
I'll send you some messages.
Yeah, please do. That would be amazing. If you can set the clock on your cooker. Yeah.
I will. Yeah, I've done it.
So I'm going to leave it here. Booker, thank you, brother. Love you so much for being here. We've covered so much. We got people with us live, and we're going to get so many people watching the recording back again. So if they can find your label on TrackSource, on across all the distributors as well, of course. You put out mixes on your Mixcloud, and they contact you. What's the best email address if anyone wants to send you a booking?
ejbookert@gmail.com.
There you go. Nice and simple. Brother, we'll be speaking to you again very soon, man, okay?
Thank you for having me, Andy. Thank you for having me, Craig.
Yeah, Booker, it's an absolute pleasure. And I'm just sorry I haven't spoken to you sooner because I miss you, mate.
Cool, that's not a problem, man. At least we're here. We're still here. That's the main.
We're here. Right, guys, I'm going to press this button and it's going to unceremoniously kick you out of Zoom. And I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. Craig, love you, mate. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Love you both. Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
And there they go. I really enjoyed that. I could have quite easily sat here talking all evening, just a little bit conscious of taking up their time and taking up your time as well. I'm coming back to this flyer that throws forward. I cannot believe that it's September next week. Ridiculous. Vocal Booth Weekender is not that far away. I'm currently deep in preparation for that. But that's by the by. We are here to talk about Dance for Stevie, a fundraising benefit event on Sunday the 3rd of October from 2 o'clock in the afternoon until 1 o'clock in the morning at the Ministry of Sound. A whole heap of amazing, incredible talent who are all providing their time for free to show their love and support for a duo who are, without a shadow of a doubt, responsible for pretty much everything that you and I love about the UK Soulful House movement. You can follow links, just look on Facebook. It's very, very easy to find, and go and show some support to those people. Next week, we will be back again on Tuesday. I've had a few weeks of difficulty trying to get our guests to confirm and then stick to the times and the dates, but I will prepare the artwork and let you know about that in a few days' time. Next Tuesday, same time, 7 p.m. UK time, more Soulful House Mafia. Thank you so very much. I will bid you farewell. It's been emotional.